All right, let's talk about your attention. Not in theory, yours. Personally, I want you to imagine something. You open your phone just for a minute. You tell yourself you'll watch 1 or 2 short videos. Suddenly, it's 40 minutes later. You've scrolled through 100 clips. You put the phone down and try to do something simple. Read, study, work, even just sit still, and your brain feels restless, irritated, bored in 10 seconds. If that feels familiar, you're exactly who I'm talking to right now. Because this isn't just you have no discipline. This is why so many Americans today struggle to stay with anything that isn't fast, loud, or instantly rewarding. Let's open that file. First, I want you to know something important. There is nothing broken about your brain. Humans still have an enormous capacity for deep, long focus. We can binge a whole series, get lost in a game for hours, or hyper-focus on a hobby, right? The brain's ability to pay attention hasn't disappeared. It's being trained every day by the environment around you. And in the US, right now, that environment is basically a 24/7 attention demolition lab. So let's unpack what's happening, piece by piece. Think about your average day, or at least an honest version of it. You wake up and check your phone. Notifications, messages, overnight emails, maybe a burst of short-form videos. You eat while watching something. You commute while half scrolling. You work or study with 5 tabs open, your phone face up, music on, maybe a podcast in the background. You relax by opening another screen. On average, Americans now spend around 7 hours a day looking at screens, more than the global average, and Gen Z in the US is often above 9 hours. That's basically a full-time job of being stimulated by devices. Your brain doesn't just ignore that. It rewires around it. To see what's going on, we need to break attention into a few types instead of treating it as one thing. There's treating it as one thing. There's sustained attention, staying with one task for a long time, like reading a chapter, working, listening deeply. Selective attention, focusing on what matters and filtering the rest, like listening to one voice in a noisy room. Divided multitasking attention, switching rapidly between tasks or inputs. You're not losing the ability to focus at all. What's happening is that your life is constantly training you to operate in fragmented, divided attention mode, hopping, scanning, sampling, and undertraining sustained attention. Imagine you went to the gym every day and only trained one arm. Eventually one arm gets strong, the other gets weak. Short-form content, fast feeds, non-stop notifications, that's the one arm you're training. Deep work, long reading, quiet thinking, that's the arm you're neglecting. Now let's talk about ultra-fast content, TikToks, Reels, Shorts, endless scroll feeds. These platforms are engineered to win a very specific game. How quickly can we grab your attention? How strongly can we spike your brain's reward system? And how little effort can we demand from you while doing it? Every swipe gives you sound plus motion plus text at once, emotional hooks, funny, shocking, cute, dramatic, and sometimes a feeling of, if I keep scrolling, the next one will be even better. This is variable reward, the same principle casinos are built on. Your brain gets tiny, unpredictable dopamine hits, which makes you want just one more again and again. Over time, heavy use of short-form video has been linked to more impulsive behavior, weaker self-control, and reduced executive functioning, the part of your brain that helps you plan and stay on track. So what does that mean for long attention? Think of your brain like a speed dial. If all day your brain is used to 1-2 seconds to decide if a video is worth it, 3-5 seconds of intense stimulation, then you swipe, again. Your brain starts expecting that rhythm, high speed, high reward, low effort. Then you sit down with a book, or a lecture, or a slow task at work. Within 10 seconds your brain quietly asks, where's the rush? Where's the novelty? Where's the stimulation? When it doesn't find it, it labels the activity as boring or uncomfortable, not because the task is objectively awful, but because your baseline expectation has shifted. You haven't lost attention, you've raised the threshold of what your brain finds satisfying. Now layer on top of that something called media multitasking, using multiple devices or apps at the same time, checking your phone while watching a show, scrolling during class or meetings, jumping between chat, email, tabs, and social feeds while working. Research consistently finds that people who multitask heavily across media, constantly switching between apps and streams, show more attention problems, are more easily distracted, and have weaker sustained focus on single tasks.
Heavy media multitaskers tend to have slower cognitive processing and poorer performance on tasks that require holding information in mind and ignoring distractions. In simple terms, the more you train your brain to juggle, the harder it becomes to just hold one thing. And American life, especially for younger people, quietly rewards multitasking. It looks productive, it feels busy, but it actually fragments attention into tiny little pieces that never fully land on anything. Let's bring this even closer to home. Have you noticed any of these in your own life? You open one app, then another, and forget why you opened the first. You start a video, then check your phone while watching the video. You struggle to watch a movie without pausing to scroll. Reading more than a few paragraphs feels heavy. Quiet moments waiting in line, sitting in a car, lying in bed, feel wrong without a screen. That's not random. Your nervous system is getting used to being stimulated almost all the time. So when stimulation drops, your brain interprets it as discomfort or even mild distress. Do something, check something, open something. It's the mental equivalent of phantom limb pain. You miss something that isn't actually necessary, but has become part of your normal. Now let's zoom out and look at the American environment specifically. In the US, there are a few extra forces pushing attention to the edge. Very high screen exposure. Adults average about 7 hours of screen time a day, and teenagers often go even higher. A strong hustle and productivity culture. You're expected to always be reachable, always on, always doing something. An entertainment landscape dominated by fast edits, jump cuts, and short clips. Work and school environments that increasingly assume you'll multitask, answer emails during meetings, chat while working, study with 10 tabs open. All of this quietly tells your brain, stillness is suspicious, slowness is failure, depth is optional, speed is normal. Is it any surprise that long attention feels harder? There's another subtle part of this, sleep and mental fatigue. High screen time, especially at night, is linked to sleep problems. Light exposure, mental overstimulation, emotional content before bed. Poor sleep in turn is strongly tied to worse attention, slower thinking, and more distractibility the next day, especially in teens and young adults. So you get this loop. You're tired, so it's easier to scroll. You scroll late, so you sleep worse. You sleep worse, so your attention drops. Your attention drops, so deeper tasks feel harder. And short content feels easier. It's not a character flaw. It's a feedback loop. Here's something important I want you to really absorb. You do not have a goldfish attention span. That whole humans now have an 8-second attention span. Less than a goldfish claim? It's been criticized heavily. The study was misinterpreted, and attention doesn't work that way. Humans can still stay deeply focused for long periods when something is designed well, and when the environment supports it. So what's actually going on is not that your brain got downgraded. It got retrained. The good news is training goes both ways. If your habits and environment can weaken long attention, they can also strengthen it again. Let's talk about how in a real practical way, not fantasy discipline, not just focus harder. I want you to think less in terms of fixing your brain, and more in terms of retraining your environment and routines, so your brain has a chance. First, imagine your attention like a muscle. If you haven't exercised in months, you don't start with a marathon. You start with a short walk. Same with focus. If you've been living inside notifications and short-form content, expecting yourself to suddenly read for 2 hours, or work deeply for half a day, is unrealistic and guaranteed to make you feel like a failure. So instead, try this. Pick one important thing, reading, studying, working on a project, and give it 10-15 minutes of pure attention. No second screen, no music with lyrics, phone out of reach or in another room. Set a timer. Tell your brain we're just doing 10 minutes. That's it. At first it might feel uncomfortable. Your mind will itch to grab something else. That's normal. You're not doing it wrong, that is the training. When the timer ends, stop. Even if you feel you could keep going, this builds confidence. I can do this. Over days and weeks you slowly increase that deep focus block. 15, 20, 25 minutes. This is called building capacity. You're literally teaching your brain that it can stay with one thing, and that nothing terrible happens when it does. Second, reduce constant micro hits of stimulation. You don't have to become a monk, but your brain needs some breaks from the slot machine style environment. A few simple, realistic changes. Keep your phone off the table when you eat. Don't scroll in the first 15-20 minutes after waking. Choose one screen at a time. If you're watching something, don't scroll. If you're scrolling, don't also watch something else. Have at least one activity per day with 0 screens. A walk, a shower, stretching, cleaning, anything. These low stimulation pockets are like recovery sessions for your nervous system.
They lower your baseline, so regular tasks feel less painfully slow. Third, protect your sleep like it actually matters, because it does. Good sleep is like attention fertilizer. Bad sleep is like attention poison. Simple things help. Limit short-form videos and emotionally intense content close to bedtime. Use dimmer light at night. Avoid staring into a bright screen in a dark room. If your thoughts start racing, write them down instead of endlessly scrolling to distract yourself. You don't have to be perfect, but each night you sleep a little better. Your attention the next day becomes a little sharper, a little more stable. Fourth, understand that boredom is not your enemy. One of the biggest shifts you can make is to stop treating slight boredom as an emergency. You're waiting in line. You're sitting on a bus. You're in a quiet moment. You feel the reflex. Grab phone. Stimulate.
If sometimes, not always, just sometimes, you resist that reflex and just be there, you're strengthening a crucial skill, being present without running away. In those tiny gaps, your mind resets, processes, and rests. You may even get ideas, clarity, or emotional relief, the things that never show up when your brain is constantly occupied. Fifth, be careful with multitasking, especially with media. If your brain is always splitting between three things, it will treat life like one big split screen. Start with small rules. 1 tab for work, not 10. If you're in a conversation, don't glance at your phone. Study time is not also social media time. It won't feel natural at first. That's the point. You're changing the pattern. Over time, your brain stops expecting to be fed 3 streams at once and starts investing more energy in the single thing in front of you. Finally, I want you to hear this clearly. You're not weak for struggling to focus in a world that is designed to destroy focus. American culture right now is a perfect storm. Non-stop screens, fast entertainment, pressure to be always reachable, encouragement to multitask, constant comparison, chronic stress and sleep issues. Your brain didn't choose that storm. It's trying to survive inside it. So instead of blaming yourself, start working with your brain. Give it fewer, better inputs. Give it more single-task moments. Give it rest instead of constant noise. Give it short, realistic focus blocks and build up slowly. Your ability to pay attention deeply is still there. It's just buried under layers of stimulation and habit. You don't have to earn a normal attention span. You already have the hardware. All you're doing now is changing the settings. 1 notification at a time, 1 scroll at a time, 1 quiet moment at a time, and little by little, your mind remembers how to stay.